Call to order this evening's council meeting, Tuesday, April 2nd. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Brinkman?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Valdez?
Present.
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Councilmember Driscoll?
Here.
Councilmember Elrod? Councilmember Fay?
Here.
Councilmember Schlachter?
Here.
I see we have a troop, Boy Scout troop in the audience. What number are you guys with? 597. 597. Where are you out of? Specific school or church? Which church?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay.
The flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council, any changes to this evening's agenda?
No, just a picture.
Seeing none, we will move to public comment. If you wish to address the City Council under public comment, please have signed in to the public speaker form. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. The Council is not authorized under the Colorado Open Meetings Law to discuss, comment, or take action at the meeting on any issue raised by public that's not part of tonight's agenda. And we may refer the matter to staff to obtain additional information and report back as appropriate. We have one person who has signed up, Frank Atwood.
May need help on the projector.
Turn it on up there. There you go.
Karina has arrived.
Okay.
Make that a little bigger.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Frank Atwood. I'm from District 4, and my phone number is 720-260-1493. I'd like to discuss Littleton's quaintness and small-town character. Let's look at the City of Littleton calendar. It is more an advertisement for South Suburban Parks and Recreation than it is for the City of Littleton. Did South Suburban pay the city for advertising? Once again, we see quaintness and small-town feel be lost. 2 weeks ago, I commented on the contrast between the Littleton Historic Incorporated portrayal of the courthouse and rule of law majestically dominating the the city, and what we now see is the clock tower and massive building and courthouse. Here we have the clock tower, the courthouse, and that massive building there. We could also portray that picture as just the courthouse and massive building from Main Street. Before I discuss the other end of Main Street, I'd like to invite everyone to discuss a Littleton that was or quaintness lost calendar meeting tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening, April 3rd, in the library basement at 6:30. I hope especially citizens in the watching TV public will join us. An attendee from our meeting of 2 weeks ago provided this picture. Valley Feed did not dwarf the library. Now, we have a mixed-use building and the View House dwarfing the library. We also have red circus tents blocking a view of the library and inviting the obvious quote, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." I'm tired of monkeys turning our Littleton into red circus tents. At least let's document this loss with a calendar that may motivate other citizens to slow down this loss of quaintness and small-town character. Again, I invite you to join us to discuss a Littleton that was or quaintness lost calendar starting tomorrow evening at 6:30 in the library basement. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. No one else has signed up, but if someone would like to address council, do so now. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items can be adopted by a simple motion. All ordinances must be read by title prior to a vote on the motion, and any consent agenda item may be removed at the request of a council member. Consent agenda item ordinance 12A, consent agenda item A, ordinance 12, is a first introduction of an ordinance revising the Littleton Storm Drainage Ordinance, Title 7, Chapter 7 of the City Code, and associated cross-references in Title 7, Chapter 8. Item B is a resolution 22. This is authorized amendment to an agreement regarding final design and construction of drainage and flood control improvements for Littles Creek at Gallup Street between the city and the Urban Drainage and Flood Control District.
Cole.
That's been pulled by Councilmember Cole. Ordinance C, item C, ordinance 13, is a first introduction of an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 1, 3, and 8 of the City Code regarding indoor and outdoor shooting ranges as conditional uses. Item D is a resolution 24, confirming the appointment of Deputy Presiding Judge Loretta Huffine, Judge Benjamin Currier, Judge Stephen Katzman, Judge Christopher Cross, and Judge Vincent Atencio as Municipal Court Associate Judges for a 2-year term and providing a compensation adjustment of 3%. Item E is ID 19-097, and that's approval of the March 19th, 2019 regular meeting minutes. Need a motion to approve items A, C, D, and E.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ready to vote?
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes, I pulled this because I'm not convinced that this is the way to address any flooding issues along that area. Whether or not we might do something else to improve the, I guess I'll call it the viability and the safety along that. I'd kind of like us to have, probably need a study session to talk about this, vet this, and let us get more information on why this is the best and only way to address the issue.
Keith isn't here tonight, is he?
Okay, Councilmember Elrod.
I appreciate you pulling that. I also had a follow-up concern on this one, given the increase in the ask and the original estimate to what is now amended. So I would like to also get an understanding of what options may have been considered and the reason for the increase in the estimate.
Okay. Deputy City Manager?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Do we have anybody from Public Works who's worked with urban drainage on this that could help answer these
No,
questions?
that's what I was just informed. We don't have anybody here tonight that can address it.
Okay. Okay.
We weren't given any heads up that it was going to be pulled, or I didn't realize there
Okay.
were questions on
If
it.
you want to pull this, we'll need a motion to pull since we don't have any staff here.
I thought I did, but anyway,
You
so
did. I mean, you'll need a motion to move to a date certain or move to a study session. I would, City Manager, do you believe that it would require a study session, or might it require a memo to council and put it back on a regular agenda in a general business or consent
Well,
again?
we could certainly start with a memo, and if council feels there's more questions that we need to get it back into a study session, we certainly do that.
Is there any time issues on this?
I don't believe so, but I'd have to verify that for sure.
Okay. I would suggest, Councilmember Cole, you pull for, to be brought up at our study session next week. So that would be date certain.
okay.
Do you want to make that motion? Or so moved?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to pull this over to our study session next week, which would be April 9th. And we'll have answers. Ready to vote?
The vote is 6 in favor, with Councilmember Fay voting no. The motion carries 6-1.
Okay, that moves us to general business where there is nothing on the agenda. And now we're on to second readings, public hearings. Ordinance 10 is a second introduction of an ordinance amending Charter 14 of Title I, Land Development Impact Fees. And our Finance Director, Tiffany Hooten, will have a presentation.
Good evening, Council. Tiffany Hooten, Finance Director, and I have a presentation regarding the land development impact fees. Before you this evening, you have Ordinance 10-2019, and the policy question is, does City Council support amending Chapter 14 of Title I, the land development impact fees? A little background on this. Impact fees were originally adopted by City Council in August of 2013. It was then amended in July of 2014. We did an amendment in November of 2018 regarding fire and transportation impact fees. And then we also relocated the impact fees from the subdivision chapter in the City Code to the administrative chapter. In 2019, we engaged with BBC to update the current impact fee model that we have, using the same methodology from that original study. What we changed is we expanded the data from the city's asset inventory, be it museum expansion or assets related to capital. And we also did a more precise calculation and information regarding debt. This is related to the museum COPs. And then we also updated the share of commercial versus residential land use within the city. BBC did a presentation at a study session on March 5th, and they went over the impact fee study that they performed. And a result of that is changes to the museum, library, museum, and facilities impact fees. As a reference, the current total impact fees related to a residential dwelling unit is $3,975. That will increase to $4,523. For non-residential on a square foot basis, it goes from 3.542 to 3.827. The results of these changes in these impact fees estimated for the 2019 budget is about an additional $81,000. Some options or alternatives for council is to approve the ordinance amending the land development impact fees for the museum, library, museum, and facilities, or make no changes at this time. I will note that we have discussed with council to go out to an RFP later in 2019 related to the full methodology of impact fees. So that's going to be forthcoming in the next few months or so. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any at this time.
Council, any questions? Jerry?
So on the impact fee, and I can't remember if we asked this at our study session the other night, and maybe the acting city attorney can help us with this. A test for you. So I understand that the impact fees, it affects the museum, library, police, other facilities. What about the roads in front of them? And what I'm thinking of, like over on Eladi Street, for instance, like the 5900 block, 6100 block, where it's worn out. It's impacted by the museum, for instance, but by the traffic to the museum, and even on Gallup, traffic to the museum. So it is impacted, get heavier traffic. So are impact fees, does it include roads in the surrounding area?
Jerry, I think I might be able to address that. We do have the transportation impact fee that we already have established. So I believe that would be something that could be used for the roads in front of the museum or the library, if that's what you're alluding to.
I'm not sure that answered my question, though.
Sure. So my understanding of answering your question is the way that the study was done was the impacts
for those. Speaking in the microphone, I can't.
My understanding from the study was that the impacts were addressing just those items that were addressed in raising the fees, and that the transportation impact fee is a separate item that would have to be addressed separately.
So okay, I follow that. So the impact fees for the transportation is a separate item that is yet to be addressed?
That was the one that we actually amended in November of 2018, where we increased it pretty dramatically.
Okay, thank you.
That answer?
Yes, that does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the hearing at 6:46. I have no one signed up to speak. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing at 6:46. And I need a motion, please.
Move to approve on second read the ordinance amending Chapter 14, Title 1, Land Development Impact Fees.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any conversation or questions? Ready to vote?
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Tiff.
So that takes us to comments and reports. City Manager.
I just wanted to report from communications. You should have one of these at your seat. This is just our latest communications piece that we'll be using this summer to get people to eat, sleep, drink, play, and events and visit Littleton. So thank you. That's all I have.
Where can we get more of them?
I will hook you up.
Because we get around, so. All right, thank you.
We'll airdrop a few hundred each.
Okay, perfect.
We'll get you all some so you can help distribute them.
Thank you.
They'll be around town though. Thanks.
City Attorney?
I have no report.
Okay. Councilmember Elrod?
I have a couple of updates that I was looking for in my email, but I'll just wing it. So we did have our transportation forum meetings that were at the sub-regional level, which was to determine which projects from the City of Littleton would be brought forward for the TIP process and federal funding. So we did get our 2 projects that moved forward on that as anticipated, so we're happy to present that to Denver Regional Council of Governments for their final approval. We should be able to get a final decision this summer. I think it's August when the vote will go through before that, but then the final decision of all funding available in August. So that went through from the Arapahoe sub-region, and I believe, Debbie, you attended the Douglas County, and I think that went through as well. So we're in good shape there.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Fay.
I'd like to report on the existence and the beginning progress of a new group called the Committee, or the Community Coordinating Committee, otherwise known as the CCC. We all wonder what CCC means. Well, that I think is it. So its purpose is to, per Mark Ralph, the city manager, I had it here a second ago, I got a sentence from him. I wish he were here to hear the conciseness of it. The purpose of the group is to vet a working draft of the comprehensive plan by working among themselves in order to help staff put forward a finished product to the public. So their purpose is to refine the work that is being done by staff and then prepare it to take it to the public. It's a sizable group, 20 people, and it's interestingly made up of either the board chair of the various boards and commissions that we already have or the person that they appointed, plus 6 at-large members, whom I believe were selected by the mayor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a combination of myself and some staff input.
Okay. Meeting almost monthly to do this work, and the idea is to get all different levels of input into this final plan so that it will be wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Schlechter.
It'll only take about 17 minutes here.
Yep.
Now, joking aside, I just wanted to report that Councilmember Driscoll and myself have been doing the interviews for the Next Generation Advisory Committee yesterday and today. We're about 2/3 of the way done. They've been going great. It's great to see the applicants and how eager they are to get involved. So we'll wrap those interviews up on Thursday and deliberate on, make a recommendation to council about who we think should be on that committee.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Cole?
No report.
Councilmember Driscoll?
No report.
Mayor Pro Tem Valdez.
Meeting as short as possible.
Okay. My only report is quick. The South Platte Working Group got their third presentation from the group that is doing the East-West connections, and we will have a final report from them, final draft report from them in June or July. And then that will be, we'll bring that back to council for ratifying that, and it'll integrate into the comp plan and the transportation plan. So far, really good information and identifying some low-hanging fruit that we could fix rather quickly, and then some larger projects that'll take time, money, and planning. So it'll be good information. All right, seeing no other business.
Mayor Brinkman.
You had?
Tyler just reminded me that if you would like to see a quick showing of the Kupla Cam, the new camera that had to be installed on Kupla cameras.
Well, look at that. Beautiful. Very nice.
It's not exactly bright and crisp, but people aren't aware. You can get on our website, and you have to get in queue because there's only so much airtime that you can have. I think, 10 or 15 minutes at a time. But you can control the camera and actually look at different features along the front range. So it's a lot better picture than we had before, and
yeah, that looks great.
Good.
And it's called the Kupla Cam because it's in the cupola of the courthouse.
The courthouse.
Excellent.
Judge still here?
I always thought it was named after Mr. Kupla, but it's not. Okay. Thank you, Tyler.
Tyler does all the wizardry and the magic.
Yes,
here,
he does.
He's the wizard behind the curtain, or behind the glass square.
Yeah. All right, cool. Excellent.
Okay, thank you very much. And seeing no other business, we're adjourned.